And we're live. Hello. Good afternoon, morning if you're in Hawaii, and good evening, UK, because we have a guest from England. So I know we have quite a few people from across the pond visiting us today. Hey, it's Elle. How are you? So fun to see all the different names. I'm excited because I get to see a lot of people in person in a couple days. Hello, Sarah. Look what I'm wearing. Your shirt, UK. Thank you, Supconnect, for letting me do this every Thursday. I get to talk to awesome people in the world of stand-up paddleboarding, paddleboarding in general, lovers of water. We are all addicted in different ways. Hi, Giuliano, land and sea. Today, I'm super excited to meet Samantha. I believe she goes by Sam. I have not met her in person. Oh, that's right. It's El. Sorry. It's El from Peru is here in Southern California. I get to see him this Saturday at Hano Hano, a big race that we have. Sync to Sup. How you doing? So much to talk about always. I can tell this young lady has a ton of energy, does a lot in stand-up like a lot of the people I talk to, and assume as an addict like us all, our healthy addiction to water. But again, thank you, Supconnect. Still loving doing these every Thursday, usually at 1 o'clock Pacific. They do get recorded, so if any of your friends missed it, it goes immediately to Supconnect's IGTV, and then we'll get it on YouTube, both Supconnect's and mine, KT Outside. Maybe Samantha has a YouTube too. Need to ask her that. So Samantha Rutt, _ Ocean Adventure is her Instagram. If you want to follow her adventures, her teaching, her racing, lots going on. Let's see if we can find her. We've got Wells Paddleboarding. I don't think that's her. And Gila on land and sea. Gila, what a cool name. But where is Sam? Questions yet? Got some questions to ask you, Sam. We have to find you. Sup, Paddle Girl Combs, how are you? Early Bird Sup. I love seeing Nocturnal VJ with my same last name, Thomas. Gotta meet you someday. Sup Junkie is here. Don't see Sarah yet. I know she was a little nervous. I told her she should not be. This is just a casual chat with a bunch of you, our friends. So how's everybody doing? It's January. Oh, let's see. It said she just joined. There she is. I hope everybody's doing well. I know we thought the pandemic would be over by now, but this has been my little pandemic extra job that sure has been a lot of fun. Sup the dark side. Oh, wow. To find out what that means, you'll have to tell us. Please feel free to make comments, tell us where you're from, ask Sam questions if you have any. I love, oh, Maui, how are you? Good to see you from Germany. Guessing you're in Germany, although I know you're a big traveler. We're able to travel a little bit more. So let's see, I invited Sam to join us. The last 2 times, these social media platforms, they keep changing up on us. It told my guest, Larry Kane, that he wasn't, he had to upgrade his Instagram. So I don't know, Sam, if you're running into that, you can just go off and come back again. But I did invite you on. Let me try again. Accept. Okay, magic, magic. Yay!
Sorry.
It worked. It always works eventually, with a few exceptions. How are you? So great to meet you.
Good. You too, finally.
Yes. Shall I call you Sam or Samantha?
I don't mind. I answer to both. So yeah, Sam or Samantha.
Great. I was going to try to look up some British English and try to be cool with some sayings. I love even watching on Facebook. I mean, we're all family from all over the world, but it's fun to hear just the different way you guys describe things and each other. And but you've got such a strong community in the UK. I think that's really lovely. And I think it's starting to connect more with the world, which is part of what we do. So you're involved in so many ways in stand-up, but let's go back to your story of how you found it. Have you always been a water sports person? Did you grow up on the ocean?
No, I grew up in a little northern town, and my nearest beach, so people in the UK will probably laugh, is Blackpool, which is renowned for being quite brown water. People tend to go for the arcades and not the ocean. So I never lived near water, but you would find me near local rivers and anywhere I could jump in, go swimming, reservoirs. I would I'd be in the water. Then ended up moving, and we moved right into the middle of the country, which isn't good if you're a kind of surfer. So we'd spend most weekends driving 4 hours down to Devon to surf, 4 hours back, just to kind of fix, like you said, being a water person, you'll do those distances on the motorway. It's not the best. Yeah, so I think my background was more surfing as a water sport. Just fell in love with the ocean, and it kind of escalated from there.
Well, Sam, so surfing's not an easy one. And if you lived inland, I'm surprised. Did you have somebody in your family or somebody introduce it to you, or you just knew it was something you wanted to do?
No, yeah, no, none of my family are water people. It was just, I don't know, if something's in your soul, it's in your soul. And I'd watch programs when I was younger, people surfing, and we by chance went on holiday, and I saw a sign for surf lessons, and I was like, I've got to go and do that. I just needed to do it. And it was the typical foamy board, wiping out, hair, getting out the water. But I had the best feeling ever. I think if you're in the water, around the water, you know what that feeling feels like. And that was even before I caught a wave. And then that was it. It was game over once I caught a wave. I knew that I was supposed to be close to water.
Right.
My home.
So you live closer to the ocean now?
Yeah, it's a mile down the road. So I'm right on the Norfolk coast, which is absolutely beautiful, and discovered it as I was paddleboarding from the Suffolk border to the Norfolk border to the Suffolk border. We'd always talked about moving to Cornwall, but the more I discovered the here, the more I realised actually, we've got so much diversity here, and the coastline is beautiful, and in winter we have it all to ourselves.
Lovely. So surfing first. I think, unfortunately, it was a kind of injury. I don't know if overuse or from an accident that moved you away from surfing and helped you find those stand-up paddling.
Yeah, well, I surfed, but my other love was mixed martial arts and horse riding, and they're not very good for the body. And I had a horse riding accident and sustained quite a bad neck injury. So any kind of movements are popping up, trying to look was it was a no-go. And I had to give up MMA, and it was hard. I tried every hobby. I tried golf, I tried tennis, I tried everything. And then we'd already had a holiday booked to Portugal to go surfing. And after I injured my neck, we said, we'll still go. You can still enjoy, just being in the sunshine. It'll be healing. And when we was out there was a sign for stand-up paddleboarding. So it's like, I'm going to give this a go. I'd seen a few people do it down in Woolacombe, and it looked fun. And we turned up. It was so windy, our boards blew off down the beach. We had no time that this wasn't this isn't optimum stand-up paddleboarding conditions. We was on a little estuary that ran into the sea, and I could see all the surfers, and I just fell off, and the wind didn't help, and I hated it. Absolutely hated it the first time. Came back to the UK and just missed being on the ocean so much that I tried it again, but this time something clicked because it was a wind-free day. I was able to get out on the ocean, and that was it. It was absolutely hooked. Could not get me off the water.
Well, you obviously, all the different things that you've tried and that you've done and that you've been successful with, you have a lot of energy.
Yes.
I think you said you thought it was just this mellow thing at the beginning, right? But what you found other things to do because you've been on adventures and crossings, and you race and you instruct. So what was the order there? What came first after just cruising?
So there wasn't many people paddleboarding in this part of the country, and I wanted to find my tribe, people that paddleboarded. And I knew that I was competitive, but with myself, I wanted to get faster, didn't care whether I beat people. So I started researching and started contacting paddlers down on the south coast. So we got some really good paddlers, contacted Ryan James. He was the first person that I went to ask for, and he's a racer. And then I just kind of fell into the racing side of things. And that was it. I'd travel to Bournemouth to go and learn how to race. I'd contact anybody that was into racing to find out if I can go and train with them, or, you know, I just wanted to find out more information. And then attended my first race, and I was only supposed to be doing the short distance. I think it was something like 3K, but I was the only person in the, do you know, we have different categories in the all-round shape. There was only me, so I was like, at least I get podium. But somebody gave me a race board, and like a proper race board, because I didn't have one at the time, and I loved it. The people
and the people. You've mentioned that a couple times, and that's definitely a theme that keeps coming up. Finding your tribe, finding your people, community. And again, seems like there's a great one there in the UK that do a lot of different things.
There is.
So racing came first, but I know you were the first woman to go across the Wash, the largest estuary, and I think you even have another adventure plan. So you've done some other things besides the racing, and we'll get back to racing, of course.
Yeah, where I paddle, we kind of have the big estuary, and I could see the other side of it most days paddling. And there was a guy locally who was, you know, he's quite sound, very quiet. He'd paddled to the other side and paddled back with nothing but a carton of milkshake. And I kept looking at the other side, and I was like, I really want to do that. So started researching the water, and I found out that it's quite a difficult body of water if the condition is like a huge crevice that runs down the middle, and we get whales that will get washed up because it goes from very shallow to very, very deep very, very quickly. And there can be whirlpools out there. I think anyone that's sailed that has to cross that part of the UK knows that it can be quite difficult, and the weather can be unpredictable being the UK. So picked a great day, set off with my poor husband, who decided that he was going to join me. We didn't have a support boat, but we were in contact with like the Coast Guards, and crossed it. And I think it's probably the most meditative state I've ever been in, and I can't remember half of the journey. I just remember the start and the end, and thinking, God, that was amazing. Like I like going from point to point, you know. I'd always like running up hills, so I'd be known, if it's a steep hill, I'd say to my husband, like, can you drop me off at the bottom while I, you know, run?
You like a challenge. I love it.
Challenge, yeah. Just want to see what I can do. So it was the feeling of getting back and the sense of accomplishment and how I felt in between that made me think, actually, I think this, you know, I wouldn't have put myself as an endurance paddler at all. You know, I hate running long distance, but crossings they felt quite special. So I decided to do the English Channel and back again, because nobody had done that, and unfortunately that fell through. Firstly, I couldn't get permission, and then COVID hit, and last year, I mean, I'm still on standby for it. Last year, they weren't allowing any vessels to cross from England to France because of the migrant situation that we've got here, and also the COVID and restrictions. So I'm still waiting for that.
Oh, that's exciting. Yeah.
Can't wait. But I have a
nerve-wracking that you've had to wait so long, but exciting that you're still at least on a list.
Yes, and it's personal now, because I couldn't get to do it, and I trained really hard, you know, for doing that. So yeah, the next challenge is paddling from Northern Ireland to Scotland, which has already been done by a lovely paddler called Ian McCarthy. So I'm fortunate enough to be being coached by the wonderful Mr. Larry Kane for that.
I believe he's on right now, and of course he was my guest last week. Hi, Larry. Yeah, amazing. Well, that's great. So yeah, prepping for when you get to do that, and of course it's great to be coached by an excellent coach like that, just for regular racing, even if not for the crossing.
I mean, I can't speak highly enough. He's such a generous human. And I'm really grateful that he's helping me with this
Yeah.
challenge. So yeah.
Well, that's neat. And thanks for the shout out, Sam. You're doing great. That's what Larry says. Yeah, well, we definitely, some of your friends on here have sent in some questions and such. It's neat in the UK that there seem to be a lot of people who do that kind of crossing or adventure or point to point. It's super fun. I still think we need somebody to sort of start collecting all these neat firsts that are happening in stand-up paddling, as you know, still a youngish sport all over the world. It'd be neat to have our own book of records of some sort. But I also think it's really cool how these ultras and crossings are getting bigger. Have you ever thought of going, I know we've got COVID going on, but still, but someplace else? There's some amazing distance races. Sup racer Chris Parker's been talking about, the big races.
Love Chris again. Such another lovely human being. For me, the kind of going on in the background is, I don't know if you've ever heard of the Ocean 7. It's the swimmers challenge where they do lots of crossings. So the M2O's on there, which again for SUP is for me. I've got to get there. And the next one for me will be the Gibraltar Strait, which is it's only a short distance, but it's local. So by doing the North Channel, the English Channel, and the Gibraltar Strait, that would be 3 ticked off. Then I have an excuse to go to Hawaii. I probably won't leave to do the M2O, because I'd really love to do that one. That's, you know, it's quite a prestigious one to be able to do. You know, it'd be.
I can vouch for that being an amazing experience. I only did it as a relay with 3 of us, but it was wonderful. Yeah. Oh, so the Ocean 7. Ooh, I like that there's sort of this checklist. I would assume Gibraltar. So what is that? Spain to Morocco or the other way? Between continents, that one takes a permit of some sort. Might be challenging to get.
Yeah, there are boat companies that have helped paddleboarders, and it's such a busy shipping lane. Trying to get permission for that will take logistically will be interesting. So again, I'm happy to put the work in, because it's something nice about being able to have a tick list.
Yeah, I think many of us are that type. I love to check things off.
It's the best.
The best. So back to racing in the UK. Tell us about some favorite races. Let's see, actually, I'll ask, what did Sarah ask you? Something about racing. Ask Sam why she prefers the adventure paddling to, say, shorter races. And please tell her she is incredible.
I love Sarah. She's, again, part of the community and part of why I love the sport so much. Yeah, I know, Sup Junkie. She's been so supportive, and you know, she's such a good friend. What was her question again? Why do I prefer adventure?
She says you prefer adventure paddling to shorter racing. I don't know if that's true. You said you like the challenge of like the hills, and you loved the crossing, but were surprised.
Yeah, I think it's because it's an experience. There's something for me in life that if I'm creating memories and doing something new for the first time, I can't buy that. You can't replicate that. And being able to do something or go somewhere that not many other people have been, it's quite exciting. And I think there's something really serene and tranquil about being out on the water by yourself. There's just you and the ocean. It just feels quite special. Yeah, it feels like a wonderful experience, and I wish more people could experience that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Those they can't do it, it's like they so can.
So when you're in the racing mode, do you have a favorite distance, a favorite place? Do you like the choppy water or a nice, smooth, flat course?
I love the ocean. So if I have a choice, it would be one of the GB SUP Ocean races for me. Probably Carvis Bay. I know we've had a few good races down there. I think Connor came over and Fiona, and they've raced there, but it's such a beautiful beach and such a beautiful venue. We've got base up at Bournemouth as well, which is an ocean race, but it offers, I think because the water's so textured and you don't know what you get in, it's quite a bit more exciting. Whereas I think my brain doesn't enjoy the longer grind, like the 11 cities, I think my brain would check out, and I'd be like, it's hard work. Whereas being on the ocean, you're constantly thinking, but it's where I feel most comfortable.
On that salt water. Love that.
Yeah.
One of the other questions was from Helen, and I don't remember her whole Facebook name or know what her real
Oh
name is.
no, I
The
know.
Queen.
Yeah.
But she has a wonderful retreat of some sort. But she is originally from the UK, but lives in France, I believe.
I
And
had
sounds like a fantastic person. But hers is more about women. Why do females hold themselves back? Why is this? Did it happen to you, and how did you overcome it? How's that for a big question?
It did. I mean, it has happened to me. I think career-wise, everything-wise, I think I've challenged the stereotypes of what women should be doing, and I have done from a young age. I would always want to be doing what the boys were doing, climbing trees, getting muddy, not necessarily fitting what, you know, a female stereotype should be. And then certainly my last profession was very male dominated. It was, you know, it was, I was in the industry very early on. There weren't many females doing what I was doing. So I'm not sure why we hold ourselves back, because I think we should just go out there and charge. We should go out there and, you know, own it as beautiful, strong women. You know, it's good. And if I can inspire one woman to think, actually, yeah, I can do a crossing, or I can maybe go and do an adventure, or I can get into racing, or because as a coach myself, that's something that I hear so much is, you know, I'm not good enough. I don't. I won't be able to start on a starting line with other people. And yeah, just letting people know they absolutely can. You know, you can get out there and you can do it, and have as much fun as possible while you're doing it.
I love that. Thank you for being a role model and doing that. And I don't think you did.
Oh, I've lost. There you are.
Yeah, sorry, somebody's calling. They're not supposed to call. But I thought I had that block on my phone. Yes, was it a security guard? Is that the job you did? You were mentioning that was a little different.
A close protection, but more people call it a bodyguard. So as a female bodyguard, and worked my way up to a position of being able to work as a team leader to kind of be in charge of groups of males. So I think the skills that you learn during that process are quite helpful. But that feels like a lifetime ago.
Oh, come on, you're young.
But yeah, it was an industry in the UK that there weren't many women doing it, and I was invited to actually qualify with a company. And again, at that time, it was purely based on the fact that I could get away with looking like a secretary to work with corporate business people. And the industry has changed so much since then, with, you know, women kind of taking such an active role in it. So yeah.
But you should feel good about your role in that, because every little, like you said, it's just affecting change is one small move at a time, one person at a time. So good for you for being an early, and not everybody has the whatever it takes to go out there and do things for the first time. So it sometimes takes someone doing it before so that they can say, I can do that too. So love that you're out there doing that. So was becoming an instructor coach part of your love of racing, or was it more just wanting to get people in the water?
It was a mixture of, because I had the neck injury, I couldn't continue working as a close protection officer, and bounced up. And then because it helped me so much with, like I said, my mental health, with life, I just wanted to learn more. So went and did an instructor's course, thinking this will teach me more about SUP, with no intention at the time to actually teach it. Did one course, that spiraled into another course, and another course. And even now, I did like Larry's technique coaching. Mm-hmm. I cannot get enough knowledge to be able to pass on to other people, you know, the right information, or as up to date as I can possibly get it. And that's what I find so beautiful about SUP, is it's still growing.
Yeah.
So got so much to still learn, and just a thirst for knowledge. I think I'm the same in anything I do. I'm extremely enthusiastic.
Yeah. And I am with you and love learning. I just got off of a 3-day workshop with April Zilge, which was mind blowing. 3 days.
Oh, I love her YouTube.
Yeah. And she's so knowledgeable and well read, and whole other areas that I hadn't even thought about in terms of nutrition and off water, and really understanding, you know, the programming of planning and everything. Wow. Besides all the on water technique stuff. And as you said, though, it's so cool that it's so young. We haven't necessarily found the perfect stroke or the perfect equipment.
No.
There's still room to keep growing and keep getting better, right?
Yeah. I'm like running out of information to kind of soak up, but I'm always watching like YouTube videos. Like I've watched a lot of April's, I watched Larry's, I watched Seychelles, I watch everybody's kind of videos, and for everything I watch, I'll learn something because somebody might say it differently or something else that I hadn't thought about. So yeah, I don't want to stop learning. So I'm passing that on. I think that's really important. I had a lot of misinformation in the early days on equipment, and it costs a fortune when you first get into paddleboarding, because you're getting different boards and they might not suit you, and then I'd have to find another board. So if I can help somebody in the right direction, I think that's learning well kind of passed on.
Absolutely. Fantastic that you're sharing your knowledge. And yeah, we always need more people doing that. So coaching, racing, adventuring, we're going to call it, all fantastic things. Let's talk a little bit about your equipment that you use for those different things. I know, and if anybody who saw the picture, you're on a Starboard.
Yes.
But do you use different things for different things that you do, or have you found your board?
I found my brand. I do have to say that, like, I'm an ambassador for them as well in the UK. But I've had every brand of board that I think was out there, trying different ones, and for me they work really well because I can be a bit clumsy, so they're durable, but they also give me the performance I need on the water. So my go-to equipment for ocean paddling is I always use the All-Star. I've always loved it. For me, it's just stable. It just offers me so much, and speed, which is good when you're on the water. You want to do crossings and you want to do it in a quick time, it helps. I use the Sprint for flat water, but I do take that on the ocean quite a bit because, again, it helps me train my balance. So I like to see just how much I can push that board. I have a Black Project paddle and fin, which again, I also have ocean specific paddles. So I mix them up, but I have SUP surfboards, I have race boards, but my adventure board would always be my All-Star, purely because I feel so comfortable on it. And I know that where we paddle, we get a lot of side swell. And I crossing is likely to have side swell. So that will be the board that I choose for that. Slightly wide.
Yeah. Well, I know you said someone you knew did the wash with just a shake, or, on board, but what was the rest of your kit, or what's your plan for your big one that we will be watching you and you will get to do someday?
Yeah, well, I'm grateful that I've got support boats. So I think that makes a lot of difference with me. But for anything like that, it's safety equipment is key for me, to make sure, although there's a safety boat with you, you never know what's going to happen. I use, and I think you've spoken to Dave from Paddle Logger.
Yeah.
Love their live app, and I use that a lot when I'm training, so I can notify people if I'm going out, because I like to go out on the ocean. So it's helpful to have somebody tracking me, knowing where I am. So that is it's a fantastic tool to take. I have my buoyancy aid, radio. I'm kind of working out my nutrition at the moment, so I have like a hydro vest, and how I can kind of do it, because again, I'm going for a record attempt. So Ian's set a pace that I almost feel kind of like guilty trying to go faster than somebody else, because he's such a lovely guy. So yeah, just trying to work out how to do that without slowing down to stop. And I think the rest of the stuff will be on the boat. So.
Oh, that's fun. Yeah. Safety equipment, all about it. And yes, Paddle Logger, what a great app. And bringing your phone, being able to alert somebody if something happened. Sync to Sup wants to know when you're going to do some YouTube videos.
Never.
Come on. I'll watch them.
Bless her. She's oh, I have a lot of love for her. She's one of the people that I'm fortunate enough to coach, and we're very similar, but definitely no YouTube videos.
Oh, come on.
Really.
Maybe with your class, I think people could learn like how to share and how to teach or watching the whole class. I have to say I've learned the most from videos that often show like maybe not doing it the right way. And I can say, oh, I'm doing that. And oh, I can see like a difference. So it doesn't mean you have to do it, perfectly. Although no. Sup Trekkie says you're an ace coach with a arm muscle up. You shouldn't laugh so hard at these. But it's good to laugh. Yeah. What are we if we can't laugh at ourselves? So, yeah, you mentioned GB SUP. It has a whole series there. It does seem like there's quite a bit going on in the UK and Great Britain, which is great. Have you ever had any interest in whether it's for adventuring? Well, you started in Portugal, and I know that first one wasn't great, but we know often it's that wrong equipment or conditions. So I'm so glad that you didn't give up on it and you did find stand-up. But are there places you would love to go, whether it's just to casually paddle or to race or to adventure?
Oh God, there's so many. I would love to come to California. I've wanted to. Yeah, I know.
Come on over.
For the surf, originally, I always wanted to kind of go for the surf, but now it would be the SUP surfing. It would be great.
And then jump over to Hawaii. So come here. I think there's an APP in Santa Monica. So fly into Los Angeles, do that, and that's in the ocean, and then hop on over to Hawaii for M2O.
Perfect. That's idea sorted out.
Which costs a lot of money and time and but
it's getting easy now that travel's opened up, because I had, again, like so many people, had so many plans. I'd love to do Hood River. I'd love to go out there and have some training out there. There's just a million places I'd like to see, and SUP. It's just so many. But yeah, California, it's California and Hawaii. They've always been two on my kind of bucket list.
I think there's a lot of footage and pictures of it, so they're places I'm always surprised when I see some new place in what did I just see? Slovenia and the color of the water, or Norway and fjords, and think, oh wow, I hadn't even thought of. It's a beautiful place. I kind of knew of it, but paddling, wouldn't that be amazing?
So many, and so many places in Europe as well. And I'm fortunate that it's just across the water. But coming back to Helen, where she lives, we're good friends, so it is absolutely gorgeous out there. We were fortunate enough, me, her, Ginny Betts. I don't know if you know.
Yes, I have met Ginny, because she's come to the US for some races and done very well. Great paddler. Yeah.
Lovely person. And Seychelles, we all kind of shared a place together in San Sebastian, and we spent a few days up with Helen on the way down, and it's
nice.
But the whole of that coast is just.
Mm-hmm. So you've done some of Europe. Well, you should come over to Poland. Maybe not a place you thought you'd paddle, but up on the Baltic Sea, that's where September 7th through 11th, ICF, still open to everyone. Although hopefully England will have a team too. You can still, anybody from England, UK can come, but we're hoping countries will form teams also officially.
Yes. Well, I say that because I'm actually working with GB SUP to do that, purely because we only had such a few amount of UK paddlers enter last year. And I watch the races when I'm training. It's really good motivation. And I think it was Matthew from Total SUP said about there's not many UK races here, and I was like, right, we're going to have to make that change for Poland. So I've been asking a lot of people, and if I have to get a van to drive people's boards across and compete, then I'm quite happy to do that. So we'll definitely be there. So you're going, aren't you?
Hopefully. Yes, and it looks like Sarah's saying, she said, see you there.
Yeah. going to be quite a few of us from the UK there this year.
And it's the very interesting thing with, you know, ISA and ICF, and I don't choose sides. I think they're all wonderful. So if you can get to Puerto Rico in November, I don't think they've set the date for that for the team, through your surfing, whatever that is called in England. I know British Canoeing actually has an amazing president who does stand-up paddleboard, a new president. Her name's Deb. Oh, I know her last name and I can't think of it at the moment, but I'm hoping, you know, it's just tricky because stand-up is new and many, many countries don't have a committee within their canoe and kayak or within their surfing to handle stand-up paddling. So they're a little bit flustered sometimes. A lot of us are working within our countries who are SUP people to try to help those organizations in our countries so that we can send people to ISAs and ICFs. But just one of the many things going on. Whether it's local or global, stand-up paddling is exciting and has many, many directions that it can go. I would love, gosh, you could give tips on so many different things. Maybe let's start with some tips on if you're going to do a crossing, since you've done the wash and you've been preparing now for a couple of years, and hopefully we'll get to do the canal soon, English Channel, I mean. Some tips on doing crossings.
I think I'd probably come back to trying to get people to do, I remember reading a really good book called Micro Adventures, and it's for people that, you know, we read about people doing great feats. So we've got Brendan, who's just paddled all the way around England, and we've got Cal Major, who's done the whole of Scotland, and really inspirational people. But for people that think I can't take all that time out of work, finding somewhere that's local to them, like a river or a point, get a map out, because there's something really satisfying looking at a map and plotting where you want to go from and to. Get all your together and get out there with your friends. You know, it doesn't have to be a huge adventure, and that was something that I got from the Micro Adventures. It could be a one day, we're going to go and see how far we can paddle in a day, or I'd like to get from this point to that point. And even if it's over a few days, because for me, paddling from the Norfolk border to the Suffolk border, I couldn't be on the water every day. And it's the whole, we call it the bum of England. So it's the round bit that comes off England.
I didn't know that's its nickname.
Yeah,
the bum of England.
We affectionately call it. But I had to do that. It was disjointed. So there's no rules with crossings or adventure or kind of going out there to explore.
Yeah. I love that, Sam, because you're doing it for yourself and it doesn't matter what it looks like. On the other hand, I adore following all these different adventures that people do, and you get to see a new place in the world. So it doesn't have to be perfect or giant or time consuming. And you talked also about like getting in that zone that you've never felt so much. What do they call that? The flow state. Like you were just going. And that's so good for our health. You mentioned mental health and all. I do.
Yeah.
I think we all agree how much water and being outdoors can do for us. And I'm
very passionate about that, just from my own personal experience and how it's helped my mental health, and talking to other people that take up SUP, and they say how much it helps them, but it's big or as small as you make it, and it's about you, not about what people think is a good challenge or that's an epic challenge. You know, if you're going paddling further than you did last weekend and you get to see nature, you're out surrounded by water, then that's a huge win for the paddlers, and that's the person that's paddling. So,
and thank you, by the way, being one of the people bringing mental health to the forefront. You know, it has always been there as an issue, but really has a stigma attached. And I love, that's one of the good things that has come out of COVID, I think, is us talking more about it and trying to demystify and realizing it is important, it is an issue, and we need to talk about it. Anne Egan says, takes you to a happy place. So true, Anne.
Absolutely. It is. It's such a wonderful place to be on the water, in and around nature. But like you said, the talking about it, I will quite happily talk about my mental health if I've had a bad day, the same as I'll talk about if my back's bad. And you usually find that if you're able to kind of talk about your mental health, it gives people opportunity, if they choose to talk about their own. And sometimes that can be, you know, tentative steps for people to start talking, because we know it's okay to not be okay, but then we need to know it's okay to talk about it. That's hugely important.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you could look back and tell yourself something that you know now when you started in Portugal, probably quite a few things, but what would you tell yourself? What have you learned over this time?
The first thing that springs to mind is don't buy the first board that you see, or then the next few boards that you see after that. But this will change your life. You know, if I could go back and sit on that beach in Portugal and talk to the person that hated the session because they came off the water feeling really inadequate, sad because they couldn't get on the ocean, I'd just sit down and tell her that actually this that you don't like right now is going to be life changing for you. New career, meeting new people, and experiencing loads of fun stuff.
Yeah. Oh, great. I think the earlier you would have taken that advice and heard it. But luckily you did get back to the UK and did try it again and fell in love. So again, you do a lot of different things. I'd love tips as a coach for someone wanting to get into racing. We're pretty excited that coming out of COVID, a lot of people found the outdoors. A lot of people bought maybe inflatable paddle boards. I'm hoping we're talking about races in the US, like being more open to taking people on whatever they've got to just get them started, because often they are looking, especially after COVID, as we get out of this, for community, for their tribe, for their people. And we'd love to bring more people in, because we always want to be growing our sport of stand-up paddleboarding. So what are some coaching tips for maybe your first race or getting into stand-up paddle racing?
To not be frightened. And the community will embrace you. I think it's the word race that puts people off trying. So here in the UK, we have a challenge category, so people can come down and see it's not that scary. And people are swapping equipment, borrowing fins. You know, have you got a spare leash? It's not that scary, and it does feel like it, especially if you're going to turn up by yourself. But you'll be met with huge grins of people that just want you to feel how they feel at the end of a race.
Yeah, I mean, I jumped right into it. I started so early. 3 weeks into it, I decided to go to a race because I didn't know where else am I going to learn how to paddle? And I got absolutely hooked because it was a wonderful community right off the bat. I'm like, oh, I love these people, and I'm outside, and I love what I just did in my regular shorts and a t-shirt, you know, no special clothing. No, definitely I had an all-around board. It wasn't even race board for a year of racing, but the community is definitely what well, it wasn't the first thing that hooked me, because I knew oh, you can do all these different things with it. It sounds like, I'm going to jump back to surfing. Have you been able, I know you had the neck injury and couldn't regular surf. Have you been able to sup surf because you say standing more and don't have the same neck, or not really?
No, I have. I think I was a bit anxious to start with because I didn't want to go back, and I'd found racing, so I was like, okay, I can keep doing this. But I started to go back in the surf. And again, I'm not going to go back to doing, I was never a huge wave surfer, but I would probably go out in conditions then that I wouldn't do now, because I just enjoy a fun wave with my friends.
Yeah.
Morning, and then grabbing breakfast afterwards. So yeah, I've managed to do that. I love that, and it's great.
I do too. I surf, and I love a small wave, a party wave. There's less people out, you know, because you avoid those hardcore people who will only go out when it's big. It's like, good, that's my day.
We had a sign pop up at our local break recently that said no sups, so it was like, oh no.
Yeah, we still have some of that where we live. We're designated to certain areas, which I didn't like at first because it was not being fair. On the other hand, we know where all our friends are. It's easy to find them, and they're not all spread out necessarily in a big area.
It gets really big where you are, though, doesn't it? It's lots of people on the water.
Yes, it can get very busy, definitely. So you have exciting things coming up. We're going to cross our fingers for you that things start to open up, that you get your approval and are able to do that crossing. We're all hoping that we get to meet and see each other in person as time goes forward. I think there's lots of optimism, even with this strange spike that we had, that maybe we're going to get through this and get out of at least pandemic mode into endemic mode. So maybe I'll even get to meet you sometime this year, which would be absolutely fantastic. I love all the things that you have combined and what a role model you are as a female, as a strong female doing new things, and but encouraging and sharing your knowledge. So thank you for all that you're doing, Samantha. Right?
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for asking to interview me. It was a real come on, so thank you very much.
So fun. I always enjoy. Sarah's saying Poland again. Okay, Poland. Let's meet in Poland.
Poland,
A place I have never been on the Baltic Sea, but yeah, I would think that's not too far away, at least.
It's a 16-hour drive. I've worked it out, so I drive with board. So that's nothing. That's a fun road trip. So
okay. Yay, look forward to it. Joseph, you are welcome. So thank you everybody for listening. Samantha Rutt _Ocean Adventure is your Instagram. Please follow her adventures. I know I'm looking forward to, and hopefully we'll get to meet. Thanks again for taking the time to do this and staying up late. So it is 9 o'clock when we started, right? For you?
Yeah, so it's 9:45 now.
Okay.
When you put, and I was on Google trying to work out what the time would be.
I know.
I'm the same with Larry if I speak to Larry, because he's in Canada, so I have to work out the time.
Right, but he's east. Yes, he's 3 time zones away since the U.S. is so big. But UK is in 1 time zone. That's good. I think I have it down now. Finally. Well, thank you so much. And again, everybody, this goes to IGTV. You can send people there, and it will be on YouTube within a couple days. And I'll let you know. Thank you so much, Sam.
Take care.
Take care, everyone. Have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.